We have some psychics for you, True Draco and Mitsurugi. You guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Now we have a couple of very successful lists for the new environment here. Now obviously things are probably going to change. You know, Doom of Dimensions is going to rev things up, but these three lists are very, very interesting to me just because you'll be able to spice them up. Now, the first list you see on your screen here is a psychic deck. Ghost reached out to me and said, hey, I've had a lot of success with this locally. Said, can you please go talk about this? Now, the side deck they didn't want me to reveal because it takes away some of their surprise, but I mean, it was a pretty generic side deck. I mean, you're looking at things like Nibiru's, you know, other hand traps that you're not really going to have access to in the main deck that you're going to be calling up as options to be able to kind of, you know, power through those options. So I think that's a pretty important thing to understand. Now, psychics, and actually if you guys do have success, especially as we're heading on into sneak peek here, you know, we're going to be seeing players going pretty crazy with all these new cards. You know, send over your list. I look forward to kind of testing out and seeing, you know, what players are bringing to the table and so forth. So first thing you're going to notice is, yes, we are playing Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. This is going to be probably one of the saving graces that actually helps this deck out very, very immensely, because for your targets, you have Detonator, you have the, Detonator, Althurion, you've also got Snatchy, and we're also playing the Ripper in here as well. I think that this is one of the more interesting cards we've got access to, and also, if your locals actually has Tempai in it, this is another choice. Now, obviously, if you're looking to build this, you can alternate these based on your local environment, and you'll be able to get those better results. You do not have to be locked in on those committed targets to doing your thing. Now, the second thing you're going to see in here is, yes, we are playing the Punk package. The Punk package is actually, I think, going to be kind of more of your bare bones here, because, I mean, you do already have natural psychic synergy built into the deck. You're obviously not playing, you know, the Punk spells and traps. You're just going with this, which I do think is fine. Now, we are playing Mind Procedure. These new psychic stuff, you're actually on a pretty small inclusion on it. You're doing with, what, the one Psychic Minister, the triple Procedure, and you're going with the triple Psychic Girl. That is 7 cards built into the main deck for psychics. Now, obviously, you do have more of the tools down here, like you have the Silent Psychic Magician, and of course, you know, you do have Mach 2 as well, and even calling in Overmind Archfiend from the old ancient support here, but you're also relying on, you know, newer things like Jiraishin's going to be a free board clear for you if the situation arises that, you know, you have to kind of pivot towards this as an option to kind of clean up the field. Now, obviously, yeah, we're playing Upstart Goblins. The whole gimmick of this is to, one, create life point differentiations for, you know, your success, but also to, you know, fuel this creature right here. We've all seen how good the Psychic M Punisher can actually be when he's allowed to go on a rampage. But give this deck a shot. I do think that Psychics are one of the more underrepresented decks that we see in the modern era, because players just don't really want to work around this. Or, I mean, a lot of people are just going to have kind of the opinion of, well, why would I want to play this when I can just go play pure Punk? And I mean, that's fair. All right, it's going to come down to, you know, player preference. What are going to be the better options for you? And I think, honestly, different levels of decks for different people. This one was shocking to me. I did not expect to see True Draco pre-support. Now, the reason why I say it like that is because you get a new spell card that basically, you know, helps you find the monsters and gives you tribute fodder. That's pretty good. But also, we're actually playing the Amano Awado in here as kind of a, you know, normal summon, do your thing. Now, obviously, the True Draco things here are going to be good because this is going to facilitate the extra kind of draw power that you wanted. But also, dear old Dragonic Diagram is now back at full capacity. We can now actually play this deck in like full power to get everything that we want. And I mean, yeah, we're still missing a card of Demise, but I mean, that doesn't really matter. Your whole gimmick is still going to be deploying Masterpiece. Now, while Masterpiece is at multiples here, you do not see this deck really relying on multiples. And truth be told, you cannot really facilitate playing multiples of these. It's really not worth it, man. I think between, you know, the apocalypses and the returns, I mean, you're going to have to be using these to interrupt your opponent's stuff, but usually this deck does pretty well. Now, you do have a lot of floodgates. Not only you have skill drain, you've also got the Monarch's Erupt in here, which is going to literally just be going, hey, you no extra deck and I control Tribute Summon. Let's go ahead and do that big negate out here. And your opponent's just going to look at you and they're going to go, oh boy, like, are you kidding me? Like, yes, we are doing this. Now, we're also going one step further with this list. We're actually playing the Apophis, the Swamp Deity in here. Not only does this thing act as, you know, another monster, it's got 2,000 attack, 2,200 defense, which does help out for when you're needing to get into things out here, but also it's a giant negate. I don't really think people realize this. And also, it is technically still a trap card. So there are some interesting interactions. I didn't realize, like, how much True Draco had kind of gotten upgrades out here. Also, you're going to notice we are playing Solemn Scolding in this deck. I think that with the loss of Solemn Judgment, I mean, yeah, it stinks that it has to be your only set, but it's not like you can't just flip up the Apophis and then go to town with the Solemn Scolding on the back end. You just got to be a little bit more controlling with the toolbox options that you're kind of throwing around here. Like, it should be fine. And our last list here is good old Mitsurugi. Now, I'm going to tell you that this was played at a regional and basically finished top cut of Swiss. And it does not need any new support. King of the Pharaoh Imps, who? Like, who really cares about that? Your big Mitsurugi boss monsters are back in town, baby. Because Amino Mitsurugi here just board wipes and grinds cards out of your opponent's hand. That's always going to be the big thing. Futsu just brings back Infinite Bodies, which is pretty good. We got to give this card credit, but also you're not bulking down on the fact that it feels like this deck was previously, you know, going through. You know, you were at previous builds, you were like, hey, you know, I gotta play all these Rizal cards, you know, to bridge into the package. Well, now we can take an objective step back and we can go, well, we don't really need Detonator. We don't really need these pieces. You know, you're making now for 2 level 4s, you're making Gallant Granite to go get yourself a Nibiru. So if your opponent does find a way to kind of crack through the board, you know, you're able to kind of counteract that. Also, nobody's really respecting Droll and Lockbird right now. So pre-preparation of rights just becomes an even more insane card. We're also playing the one of Magatama in here, obviously, because you're playing pre-prep. You do have to play the Mitsurugi Mirror. This card's actually pretty good. We're also going with 2 copies of Pot of Extract. I mean, you know which cards you care about in your extract, but you know which ones you can actually sacrifice for the greater good of expanding on the combo. We've also got Shifter to kind of board break. By board break, I mean your opponent's not playing the game. We also have access to Wozu. I think Wozu finally is getting a chance to actually shine here, because he himself is a board breaker card, because tributing a reptile and one monster your opponent controls is crazy as an option you get access to. We also get to see the Great Purification coming in here, but this deck honestly feels very, very solid. I really am looking forward just to kind of seeing, you know, how is Mitsurugi going to evolve here? If I were to guess, I feel like what you got here is a pretty gosh darn good start to where we're heading for this new format. But what do you guys think about everything? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.